Have a look at your bookshelf. Were they all written in English? Are some in translation? Even if all your books were written in English, there is a strong chance many of the authors were inspired by literatures not written in English. Take Salman Rushdie, the mastermind behind the Satanic Verses and Midnight's Children. Not only did he draw inspiration from the Spanish and Portuguese literatures from Latin America, but also the folklore found in Arabian Nights and other fairy tales and magical adventures. If you liked the magical realism of Midnight's Children, perhaps you'd also love The Tin Drum by Gunter Grass, written in German, or Kafka on the Shore by Haruko Murakami, written in Japanese. Welcome to Comparative Literature, the study of literature from different languages, cultures, times, and nations. Here, you'll attempt to uncover the similarities, differences, and influences between different texts, whilst understanding what a novel such as Midnight's Children can teach us about the English language, as well as, of course, India and Britain after colonialism. This video explores comparative literature, what it is, and why it continues to shape how we read and think about storytelling. I am Madeline Rose Jones, and I study history, literature, and culture. Welcome to Snowy Fictions. First, I will expand on my definition of comparative literature. A scholar of comparative literature will compare two or more texts, which can include films, novels, poems, operas from at least two languages, whereas the study of English literature usually limits herself to the English language. Comparative literature takes a wider approach. This frequently involves the study and practice of translation. If I were to understand the influence of Tolstoy's Anna Karenina on English literature, I would study the many translations being done for Tolstoy's magnum opus. Yet, I'd still need to be mindful about the limitations of translations and whether the author's original meaning has been maintained. Here, the scholar becomes an investigator and tries to track how different linguistic traditions relate to one another. The most explicit example comes from literature influencing other literatures. However, a scholar of comparative literature may be intrigued by how different languages portray a historical event and experience. Just compare the Japanese animation Grave of the Fireflies to really most World War II American movies in English. This is also true for textual adaptation, especially in regards to fairy tales. The Grimm brothers' version of Sleeping Beauty in 19th century German differs from Charles Perrault's Middle French version. Likewise, different languages and cultures portray symbols differently. In Ingmar Bergman's classic film The Seventh Seal in Swedish, death takes on the form of an older, cloaked man. Yet, the Anglophone series Harry Potter depicts death a bit differently. Sure, he is a cloaked and cunning man in the Deathly Hallows, yet he is portrayed as mute, faceless, magical, and moves like a feather, whereas the viewer can ascribe personal characteristics in the Seventh Seal they cannot in Harry Potter. Therefore, a scholar comparing both movies will usually notice these differences, but they must avoid generalizing Swedish or English literature in portraying death. There is, of course, plenty of diversity within a single literary language. This is particularly true for Spanish, English, and French. 3 languages of not only a certain ethnicity, but also of modern conquest, globalization, and imperialism. An Algerian writing in French may convey a vastly different tone and theme than a Frenchman living and writing in France. Therefore, scholars must not limit their understanding of a certain language to a few texts, as this results in simplifications and exaggerations. So, why does comparative literature matter? Why should readers consider the interactions languages have with each other? Because that is how literature works. An author's influences crosses the boundaries of nation, language, and culture. You can say that for intellectual history, theology, and science too. Ideas are, by their very nature, cross-cultural and not limited to a single language. Take, for example, Christianity, which has had an intense presence in multiple languages, including Hebrew, Greek, Aramaic, Russian, Latin, English, Coptic, and Italian, to name a few. In the beginning of this video, I framed magical realism as existing in multiple languages, yet this can apply to any genre or literary style such as romanticism, fairy tales, and science fiction. These also cross into the visual arts, opera, film, ballet, music, and poetry. Scholars of comparative literature may take an interest in how certain ideas and themes are portrayed in a variety of mediums. Let's take cyberpunk, which has had a presence in both Japanese and English media. When studying comparative literature, a scholar may compare the 1985 film Akira to William Gibson's classic Neuromancer. Personally, I like comparing different war films and stories from a variety of languages and try to understand the different ways a Russian may portray warfare when compared to a German, a Frenchman, or an English speaker. Comparative literature welcomes these investigations. With the advent of the internet and globalization, there are many opportunities to watch movies or read novels in a foreign language, and if you'd like, even learn the language. Because appreciating comparative literature shouldn't mean neglecting the importance of a single language. That's why, ultimately, a superior training in comparative literature will frequently involve medieval, classical, and modern languages. On a side note, I highly encourage language learning and have published some articles on my experiences with Russian. I have links in the description box below. What are your thoughts on comparative literature? Have you studied it at university? Do you have a favourite novel not written in your mother tongue? Comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like, subscribe for frequent videos about history, literature, and culture. I also have a monthly mailing list, which you can sign up below. Regardless, thanks again, and I will see you soon.